get a good look. Good look, good look, good look, good look, good look, good look. ISO zones, breaking bones. Put your hands up when you getting sent home off a good look. Good look, good look, good look, good look, good look, good look. It's the Good Look Podcast. It's the Good Look Podcast. It's the Good Look Podcast.
Yes, sir, and welcome to episode 48 of the Good Look Podcast. I'm your host, Leonard Pinkney, a.k.a. Agent P, a.k.a. L Pinkney, here to give you guys another episode. All right. So, guys, it's All-Star Week. All-Star Game is going to be this Sunday. I'm going to go through some of the early notes. Not too much this week, but you guys are stuck with me. I know I've been having guests the past couple of weeks, but you guys are just stuck with me for this one. But we're going to make it a good one. Not going to be too long, but it's going to be good. I promise you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please like, comment on the video. Appreciate you watching on the videos. And for anyone listening on the DSPs, appreciate that as well. Please like a review or create a review, 5 stars, all those good things. I really appreciate it, guys. So let's go ahead and get into the news of the NBA. And then I got a couple things I want to talk about. Some things where I feel like people aren't getting enough shine, and I want to go ahead and recognize them. And also there's a trend in the NBA that I'm going to talk about. So there's a little bit of tease for that, but let's go ahead and get into the news and notes, y'all. So first off, Kevin Durant, he's going to be out through the All-Star break. He got replaced on the roster by Domantas Sabonis. Now, Durant is still going to pick who the team will be, even though he's not going to be in the game because he was the top vote getter in the Eastern Conference. So it's going to be him and LeBron picking the teams. Once again, that's going to be on Sunday. Giannis and Booker. They won the Players of the Week this past week. That's 2 out of 3 weeks for Devin Booker. And with that, Book actually became the Western Conference Player of the Month. So shout out to Devin Booker. He's been playing really well recently, as well as James Harden. So James Harden has been playing out of his mind for Brooklyn, and he won the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. So shout out to both of them. And the Rookies of the Month, you could probably guess, Eastern Conference, LaMelo Ball. It's not even close. The kid has been hooping. And then Tyrese Halliburton for the Sacramento Kings. He's been playing really well for that team as well. And he's making more and more teams look foolish for letting that dude drop all the way to 12. It made no sense at the time. And he's going to continue to show it because that kid is special. We talked about it on the last pod, man. We're really close to saying he's the one we want to start our franchises with, even though he's not a guy that's like the fastest or the flashiest. He's just so solid in so many areas on the court. So shout out to Halliburton for getting that honor as well. A little bit of a sad note, Lloyd Pierce. So we spoke about it a little bit last week, but he got a little bit more detail and recognition because Coaches Association brought it up. Multiple media platforms brought it up. This is a black man in Atlanta who did a lot for that team, and not just the team, that community, having a black head coach lead it. And a lot of people didn't like the way that it went down, why he would be the fall guy for a team that's 14-20. There's so many other issues. They've been dealing with COVID, and a lot of their big free agent signings have been dealing with injuries, so why are you going to blame the coach for it? But this is kind of the sign of incompetence with franchises and how owners expect things to happen and change so quickly when you still have a really great Lakers team with LeBron on it, when you still have the Brooklyn Nets that exist. Like, if you're a Hawks player / team / organization, what are you expecting moving forward? Like, you need to temper them shits a lot more. Like, maybe get in the postseason, like maybe get a play-in spot, get in the 10 seed. But other than that, what else are your expectations? You just got to keep growing your young guys. You guys aren't going to win, at least on a consistent level, not yet. You need a lot of seasoning, and you need a lot of continuity. And guess what happens when you don't have the same head coach for a long time? You lose your continuity. people just want stuff to happen quick, man. It doesn't work like that. Unless you have one of the top 5 players in the league and you can just make it up as you go on the fly, you're going to have to build slowly, especially in a quote unquote small market like Atlanta. Atlanta is not a small market in terms of its city, but in terms of the team, it's a team that's not really attracting too many free agents, and over time hasn't really been a team that spends a lot of money. So we're talking about them in that sense. The firing is a little puzzling. Now, Lloyd Pierce probably, if you ask Hawks fans, they might have a different opinion. I heard that some Hawks fans were just not happy with the way he called timeouts or different substitution patterns, this, that, and the third. But you got to think this team was built by Schlenk and the owner around Trae Young to do everything for the team. And that's what pretty much Pierce was doing. He was letting Trae do whatever he wanted. And that's exactly how they're in this position they are right now. Trae Young is still a really good player, but he's going to have some deficiencies and some faults. And if you put all your eggs into his basket, you're going to really have to build out a roster that can help prop him up in the areas he's not good at. And they have some of those players like DeAndre Hunter's really good. Cam Reddish has got talent. So is Kevin Huerter, Onyeka Okongwu, John Collins. Like, they have some talent on that team. But it's just when you have impatience at the top, it trickles down to the bottom, man. And that's why some franchises stay bad for long stretches of time versus teams like, I don't know, let's say right now, like the Spurs. Like, the Spurs are always going to be there and consistent because Greg Popovich is there. That ownership group has been there for a while. They're going to continue to be successful. So there you go, man. There are actually stories about Lloyd Pierce and how the team just wasn't feeling him no more. And I get it, but who on that team has like the clout to say, I'm not feeling this dude anymore? Like, all of you have been in the league for maybe 3 seasons. Like, there's, for the most part, a couple veterans are there, but it's a pretty whack situation. Anyways, going to move on from that. Going to go into the All-Star festivities a little bit. No Zion and no LaMelo in the skills or dunk contest, which is a little bit disappointing. So the dunk contest is only going to have 3 guys: Cassius Stanley, Anthony Simons, and Obi Toppin, which just sounds really boring, and I don't think anyone really wants to watch it. The 3-point contest is where it's at. Now you got Steph coming back saying he's going to do it again. Devin Booker's going to do it. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, and last but not least, Zach LaVine. That's a dope-ass field. Can't wait to watch the 3-point contest. Over the years, it's been rivaling the dunk contest in terms of interest. Like, because the field is bigger, it's a quicker competition. It's just really fun watching those dudes shoot. So can't wait for that. The skills competition as well. It's going to have Robert Covington, Luka, CP3, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, and Nikola Vucevic. So that'll be pretty cool as well. There's not going to be a Rising Stars game, although they did have the rosters announced. The world team is going to consist of Precious Achiuwa from the Heat, Nickeil Alexander-Walker with the Pelicans, Denny Avdia for Washington, RJ Barrett, Facundo Campazzo for the Nuggets, shout out Facundo, Brandon Clark, Lou Dort, Rui Hachimura, Teo Maldion, and Michael Mulder. So all those guys would be on the world team. The U.S. roster would be LaMelo, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyler Hero, DeAndre Hunter, Keldon Johnson, John Morant, my guy MPJ, Zion Williamson, and James Wiseman. So shout out to those guys. It sucks. On a personal note for Porter, I thought he should have made the team last year, and now he makes the team this year, and there's no game, so he's never going to play in this game. It sucks we don't get to see Zion and Ja and LaMelo all on the court at the same time playing with each other, even if it's a ridiculous exhibition. Those games are fun. So it's going to be it's going to suck not watching those guys play because, like, the freshman class this rookie class right now, even though it's good, moving up into them being the second-year guys and then the new crop coming in, I don't know if it would have been as exciting. But it is what it is. It's okay. Everybody knows what time it is in terms of COVID, so trying to be as safe as possible here. I get it. But yeah, so once again, guys, All-Star game, 7 o'clock, or not 7 o'clock. I believe it's 5. This Sunday, March 7th. That's what I wanted to say, March 7th. So this Sunday, we already know why they're playing. It's kind of tough, but money is money, and we're gonna watch the game so we can talk about it and enjoy it and see some of the best players in the world playing it. Hopefully, it's a good game. Still Elam ending, so that's gonna be fun too. They're still incorporating the 24-point quarter thing, so hopefully we come out with a good, solid game, just like last year when the competition was mad crazy. It was such a good game last year. So I don't know if it's gonna be as good, but we will see. All right, guys, so I'm going to get into a couple of topics I want to talk about here. First is a trend that I have seen, and I've alluded to a little bit in my previous pods, but now I'm going to dig into the numbers a little bit more. So I'm going to nerd out a little bit, so bear with me. It's going to be really nice, I promise you. But we're going to talk about the rise in scoring. So the way we talk about scoring right now is a little bit different than before. Before, traditionally, we would just say points per game. Whoever scores the most points per game, teams or player, you're the best scorer. That's it. Now, we still do that with players. Bradley Beal's averaging 32 points per game right now. He is the scoring leader in basketball. But when we're talking about teams, we don't use points per game anymore, really. We use offensive rating, which is points per 100 possessions. Now, why do we use 100 possessions? Because on average, that is the amount of possessions each team in basketball has every game. Some teams are way above it. Some teams are a little below it. But for the most part, everyone averages about 100 possessions per game. Now, they do the point system to see how efficient you are in those 100 possessions. So some teams score 117 points per 100 possessions, like the number one team in basketball does right now. That's very efficient. There's other teams who score less than that, and that's why we're here and there. It depends. So points per 100 possessions. That's the thing I want to get in your guys' heads right now. 100 possessions. Now, this is notable right now because of the offensive boom that we are going through in the era today. Now, everyone is talking about how we've seen the best offenses of all time right now. Like last year, the Dallas Mavericks, quote unquote, had the best offensive rating of all time, meaning they were the best offense of all time. This year, 5 teams have already surpassed the Mavericks' mark last year in terms of offensive rating. I know we're only halfway through the year, but right now we're on pace to have 5 teams shatter that mark. Now, does that kind of raise a red flag to you? So think about it, man. Was the Mavericks team last year really the best offensive team of all time? No Michael Jordan Bulls teams. None of these mid-2010 Warrior teams. None of the Cleveland teams with LeBron on them. No Kobe Shaq. No Lakers, no Celtics with Magic or Bird. None of them. The Mavericks last year. That team is the best offense of all time with, granted, a transcendent player in Luka Doncic, but other than that, Kristaps Porzingis and a bunch of just guys. That's where we have to start digging into the numbers a little bit and providing a little more context. Now, these are a couple things I want to bring up. Right now in the NBA, we have 46, count them, 46 professional basketball players in the National Basketball Association are averaging 20-plus points per game. 18 of those guys are averaging over 25 points per game. I've joked around, hey, I need fans back, so I need these efficiency numbers to come down because guys feel way too comfortable out there, and maybe they do, but there's also a little bit more to it, so I'm going to get into that. If you just look at the numbers from 10 years ago, the 10-11 season, do you know how many guys averaged 20 points per game? 21. That's it. We're cutting the number pretty much in half, y'all. 21 guys 10 years ago average 20 points per game. And remember, I said 18 guys right now average plus 25. Back then, we only had 7. And this is just 10 years ago. This is a decade of basketball. Only 7 guys are averaging over 25 points per game. I'll give you the names: Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Amari Stoudemire, and Derrick Rose. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, y'all. My main point is, once again, going back to the original premise, the points per 100 possessions. I keep saying per sessions because I get the points per all these P's. I'm sorry with the P's, y'all, but points per 100 possessions. You see, but that's just the beginning, y'all. I want to get to my main point. So if we go back, right, we go back and just look at that same 2010-2011 season that I was talking about with the 7 guys averaging 25 points per game. That same season, do you know how many teams averaged over 100 possessions per game? 1. Only 1 team averaged over 100 possessions per game. You know who that was? Exactly, you don't. The Minnesota Timberwolves were that team. So that's just 10 years ago, guys. If we go back to 2003, LeBron's rookie year when they started tracking this stuff, no team was averaging over 100 possessions per game. None. The highest were 3 teams: the Mavericks, the Nuggets, and the Kings, averaging 96 possessions per game. Today, the 2020-2021 NBA season, out of the 30 teams in the National Basketball Association, 29 averaged over 100 possessions per game. The only team that doesn't is the New York Knicks, and their number is 99.1. So they're almost there. So almost every team in the NBA averages 100 possessions per game. And this all connects back to my main point. We're not only in an era with guys who are playing with the most skill we've ever seen, where shooting is at an all-time high, where the rules are different, so you can't hand check. A lot more ticky-tack is called, less physicality. All those things are factors, but we're also playing at such a high pace. Such a high pace that it almost makes the players' numbers from the past look a little bit weak in comparison to the guys right now. I mean, if we're talking about 46 guys this year averaging 20, and only half of that pretty much 21 10 years ago, like which era has the better scores? If you look at volume and just the numbers, you would say this era, right? But we're talking about scores from the past. If you want to think about Brandon Roy, Kobe Bryant, T-Mac, Melo, LeBron in his younger days, like Dwayne Wade, these guys were bona fide scorers, man. So will we argue that those guys aren't as good as the guys playing right now? Of course we wouldn't. So whenever we talk about offenses or players in terms of their scoring being better in one era or another, whenever we do that, we have to keep things in their proper context. Let's just look at guys in the 60s. Players in the 60s, I read about this stuff in the book of basketball. Players in the 60s, if you look at their stats, you'd see guys like Wilt Chamberlain or whatever, and they're averaging 50 rebounds a game. And Oscar Robertson had that triple-double season. Players in the 60s played with an incredibly high number of possessions. And the number of teams and the amount of competition in the league just was at an all-time low. Or not an all-time low, but it was just lower at the time. So you would see these guys average these incredible numbers. And it doesn't take away from their greatness, but you have to keep things in context, Once again, if you point back to that Oscar Robertson season where he averaged the triple-double in 1962, do you know how many possessions per game? Do you know how many possessions per game that Milwaukee team averaged? Or it wasn't Milwaukee, excuse me, it was the Royals. They averaged 126 possessions per game. 126. The highest we have right now is 107. They had 19 extra possessions. Do you know what you could do with 19 extra possessions? More rebounds, more assists, more blocks, more points. You get this, you get that. That's what we're talking about, y'all. So yeah, man, I just want I just want to put things in the proper perspective. Devin Booker, great player, just won player of the month, averaging 25 a game. Kobe did the exact same thing 10 years ago, averaging 25 points per game. Now, no disrespect to Devin Booker at all, but obviously, even he would say this right now. He's not even in the same stratosphere as Kobe Bryant as a scorer right now. Not even close. So it just goes to show, man, offensive rating, I get it. It's a really good number to use, but make sure you put things in the proper context. That Mavericks team last year is not the best offense of all time. I think the Warriors team in 17 is probably the best offense of all time. And we have this Brooklyn Nets team right now, which is challenging for that title. Amongst some other teams in the past, like we got the 72-win Bulls and a bunch of other different teams, man. There's definite competition out there, but I don't want the offensive rating just to be thrown out there free and easy like a frisbee. You know, we need to keep things in their proper context. Is what I do a lot on this show. That's what we're going to continue to do if we want to be smart sports fans and have good arguments and rational arguments. You feel me? We can't just be throwing out the numbers like that. We have to have context. So I get it. We're in a really nice era of scoring. But before you throw out that, hey, oh, man, that Mavericks team was the best of all time in terms of offensive rating, let's go ahead and just pump the brakes a little bit and make sure that we keep things in their proper perspective. All right, y'all. So the other thing I do want to talk about is a couple of things. A player and a team. Now, Zion, everyone's talking about Zion, man, Harden, the Jazz, LeBron, LaMelo, blah, Nets, whatever, everybody, blah, 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 blah. Every net. If you just go on the big networks, you know that's all they're talking about, right? That's it. I want to go ahead and give a player some shine and a team some shine because they deserve it, man. It's hard out here being either a mid-market or a low-market, small-market franchise, and every day they talk about how the Lakers did in a game and this, that, and the third and not caring about what these other teams do. So I'm going to go ahead and shout some teams out. Or shout out a team and then shout out a player. And the first team the only team, the team that I'm going to shout out here is the San Antonio Spurs, y'all. 7-3 in their last 10 games. You don't know it. You don't, because you just had to check right now when I told you they're the 5th seed in the Western Conference. These are not your old-ass, boring-ass Spurs teams anymore. These dudes are hella fun to watch. They do it by super-duper committee. I talked about it last time that they had 7 guys averaging 10-plus points per game. Guess what? They have 8 now. 8 guys averaging 10-plus. Rudy Gay at 11. Lonnie Walker at 11. Derek White at 11. Patty Mills, 13. LaMarcus Aldridge, 14. Keldon Johnson, 14. DeJounte Murray, 14 or 15. And then DeMar DeRozan leading the way at 20 points per game. Their top guy. Let's go ahead and give DeMar DeRozan some credit here, y'all. Even though he's only averaging 20 a night, this is quietly one of his best all-around seasons for real. Like he's averaging 5 boards per, along with a career high 7.3 assists per game. And he's still getting to the line at a high clip like he usually does, shooting 7 a night. And he's shooting 89% from the line. So DeMar DeRozan, also on a human note, just him having to deal with the loss of his father, praise up to him and his family. That's an incredible loss. So hopefully he's been doing well. Hopefully basketball and friends and family bring him some solace. But just getting back to the basketball, he's had one of his best all-around seasons in his career, man. And I'm happy for him because he gets a lot of shit from the analytics community about the way he plays. And it's not forward thinking and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't shoot threes, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about it a lot too, but it's kind of been so much where it's just like, hey, man, can we just stop piling on the dude? Just like he plays a certain way It's effective. If he doesn't want to do it, if he feels like he's effective in a certain way, and if he does, we're not saying he doesn't want to be one of the best players in the league. We're not saying that. If he feels like he's going to be effective his way, and that's how he got to the league, I mean, there's not too many who can question. You can question whether or not you think his style is going to win a title. I get that, but there's something to admire with a guy who's going to commit to his game and continue to do it his way. So shout out to DeMar, man, for real. And I told you guys, these aren't your old-ass Spurs anymore, but that doesn't mean that they don't use some old techniques in order to get them to get these wins. Now, offensively, they're okay, but they're only 20th in offensive rating, but they are what they were in the past and what they continue to be, a good to great defensive team. Top 10 in the league in defensive rating right now. I love what they do in terms of switching and moving bodies in different places. They have a lot of athleticism now. So it lends itself to them having a good defense. Going back to them being old, they aren't really analytically driven. They only average 33s per night, which is 26 in the NBA. That percentage is kind of middle of the pack too, so it's nothing real special. So this team is kind of built on the principles that made them great. They're going to be great defensively, not going to turn the ball over, not going to make a lot of mistakes, be coached well, and be good enough offensively to get you some dubs. And that's what they've been doing this season. But when I talked about a little bit with Lloyd Pierce about how an organization doesn't believe in continuity and they want things done right away and quickly, look no further to the Spurs, man. I just talked about it a little bit earlier. Let's give Greg Popovich his flowers, man. A lot of guys like Nick Nurse have come into the league, Brad Stevens. These guys have gotten their shine, and we wanted to say new guys are the best coach in the league. It's Pop, man. It's still Pop. It's going to be Pop until he leaves. We got to stop doing this. Dude continuously reinvents his squad. He has a system, but he does it in a way that allows malleability with the squad. He takes the strengths of his players and plays to them. Is DeJounte Murray a great shooter? No. Does DeMar DeRozan like shoot a lot of threes? No. LaMarcus Aldridge, does he operate a lot in the mid-range? Yes, he does. Okay, let's play to those strengths, and then we'll work out the rest later. So Patty Mills, you going to shoot the threes. Lonnie Walker, you going to shoot the threes. Like these other guys on the team have certain roles that they're going to play. Derek White, you going to throw the threes up. You feel me? So we as a Spurs team, we are the guys who are going to put those shots up. We know our roles, and Greg Popovich is as good as anyone in the league has ever been at squeezing the most out of his orange as much as possible, man, and finding ways to make incredible orange juice out of it. You feel me? So Greg Popovich, Coach Pop, man, continue to be great. Going to continue to celebrate you as long as you coaching, man. You've been doing an incredible job. Continue to do so, please. And just to speak to the adjustment, they got LaMarcus Aldridge averaging 26 a night. So they're letting their young guys go ahead and get some shine. Look at these dudes. Keldon Johnson, absolute beast of an athlete. The dude just plays hard. Man. 14 points, 7 boards a night. Plays incredible defense, can hit an outside jumper for you. We want to get that percentage ticked up a little bit, Keldon. But other than that, man, he's a dude you just want on your team if you want to win. Patty Mills, incredible score off the bench, throwing up almost 7 threes a night. He's been incredible for that team. Derek White has worked his way back into being semi-effective. He's still got to work on that field goal percentage, but he's still working his way back. I like all the young pieces, man. Lonnie Walker, talked about him before. Devin Vassell. It's such an exciting team to watch now. That ridiculous game with Brooklyn where DeJounte Murray, I don't even know how it happened, but he found a way to pick up the ball off the ground and make a knock down a shot to tie the game. If you just want to watch proper basketball being played with some incredible athletes, just watch the Spurs play. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. Get on your league pass or whatever way you watch a game. and just throw on some Spurs and watch them hoop. It's going to be really fun to watch. You will not regret it. All right, guys, and for the player, I'm actually going to cheat on this one. I'm going to go homer with this, and I'm going to talk about two guys, actually. I'm going to talk about Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Now, the other day, Nikola Jokic dropped 39, 14, and 9, and a victory over the Chicago Bulls. And guess what they talked about on First Take the next day? Who had the most impressive game? More impressive, excuse me. Zion Williamson with his 26 points in their win against the Jazz, or James Harden with his 30-point, 15, and 10 triple-double with 0 turnovers. Guess who wasn't mentioned? Nikola goddamn Jokic. Now, I'm not saying that Jokic's game was more impressive than either of them. I wouldn't have picked it. But to not have it in the conversation at all? 39? 14 and 9? Sorry he didn't get the triple-double. My bad. One more guy makes the shot. There you go. I'm sorry. Not a mention? Not a sniff? Nothing on the show, man? We got to start. He's been getting a little bit more love this year, and I appreciate it. But, man, the MVP talk was really good in the beginning, and it started to wane a little bit based on the team's record. But if you pay attention to this squad, we still got 4 guys out regularly. This team isn't healthy, and Jokic is doing everything he can, man, to keep this thing afloat. And he's been absolutely spectacular, man. Only averaging 27, 11, and 8 on 57, 88, 41 splits. Let me repeat. 57, 88, 41 splits, y'all. That is an absurd level of efficiency. Now, I know this is probably something you can't keep up. And I know we're in a bubble, not a bubble season, but just an awkward season that's been disjointed and messed up in so many different ways. But to shoot 57, 88, and 41, y'all, if you don't know, 57% from the field, 88% from the free throw line, 41% from the three-point line. That is your center, y'all. And don't look now. The team's 20 and 15. 7th in the West, only a game back of getting into that top 4. I'm telling you guys, this man needs to stop being disrespected. There's no question this season he's been a top 3 player for the ones who've been paying attention. And when he's like, oh, okay, cool. Y'all don't want to talk about me when I go off against the Bulls. It's cool. I'll go ahead and play Giannis, the back-to-back MVP. I'll go ahead and play him, and I'll get 37, 11, and 10. I'm going to do that too. And maybe see if y'all talk about me. They probably won't, but I'm going to see. It's because he's not loud, he's not flashy, all that type of stuff, man. Pay attention to Nikola Jokic. And the guy who probably deserves a little more attention but doesn't is Jamal Murray, man. The guy that has brought me so much joy and frustration as a Nuggets fan through his entire tenure as soon as he started to establish himself as the second best player on the team, man. I've wanted him traded. I've advocated for it multiple times because the level of player that he is, he should not be as inconsistent as he is. It's been the rap on him as soon as he asserted himself to be the second best player on this team. We just want to see Jamal do it every single night. And guess what? He's finally doing it. And he's doing it better than he was in the bubble, if you can believe. Now, I've said ups and downs. This is a roller coaster ride with Jamal. Am I really going to fall for him doing this and then the next 5 games he's going to average 18? No. I will give him the pass for this season because in the beginning he was hurt. He needed some time to get into shape. And now that he's there, he's been on an absolute tear. Last 10 games, averaging 35 and 5 on, you thought the Jokic numbers were crazy, 57, 51, 93 splits. 57 from the field. 51 from three-point range. 51 from three-point range, y'all. 93% from the line. That is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. This is the Jamal Murray I've wanted to see, man. This is the consistency we need to see from Jamal Murray in order to have him elevate into that upper echelon of NBA player. There's very few players who can get as hot as Jamal when he's on. And if he continues to do and play like this, don't be surprised, man. In the second half of the season, these Nuggets go ahead and grab a top 3 seed. Do not be surprised, because if Murray plays like this, they found little ways to incorporate Porter now. He's not playing bad defense anymore. And if you still say that, watch the games and then talk to me. Jokic is playing like an MVP. If Jamal follows suit, because over the last 10 games, he's been outscoring Jokic. If he follows suit, this team starts to get healthy. Don't be surprised, y'all. They make a move, maybe trade Will Barton for someone who could protect the rim, something like that. A shooter. Don't be surprised, man. In the second half, this team could make a lot of noise because the disrespect has been real early because this team hasn't been healthy. But I'm telling you, they've won 8 of their last 12. They've found ways to be more cohesive on the offensive side. I'm telling you guys, just watch out. I'm not just saying it because they're my team. Read the tea leaves. This team is going to be good. I promise you that. It's coming. All right, y'all. So kind of wanted to keep it short and sweet. So that's going to be the end of episode 48 of the Good Look Podcast. I'm your host, Leonard Pinckney, a.k.a. Agent P, a.k.a. L Pinckney. If you're watching the video, once again, leave a like, comment. Please subscribe to the pod. Get me up to 30. I'm at 29. I'm teetering right now. Get me up to 30. I appreciate that. And everybody on the DSPs, Spotify, Apple, any way you listening to it, please hit that review button. Hit me with the 5 stars. I appreciate it. Thank you, Anchor FM, for being the one to go ahead and give this pod out to everybody. It's appreciated. Going to be back next week again. We're not really have any games starting Thursday or after Thursday because obviously the All-Star game's coming. Then we're going to be off up until Wednesday. I'll see you and let you know how I'm gonna work that, if I'm going to have a pod next week or not. But most likely will, because we're going to have the All-Star game to talk about, and there's always going to be something to talk about. I'm going to do it, y'all. I'm calling it. There's going to be a trade this week. There's going to be a trade this week, and we're going to talk about it next week. I'm calling it right now. So I'm letting you know that. Appreciate y'all for listening. Hope you have a good one.
It's the Good Look Podcast. It's the Good Look Podcast. It's the Good Look Podcast.